Rams Squad Show is back. I'm Gavin Carlson, and hey, the NFL world suddenly thinks the Rams are the best. We'll tell you if we agree.
And what it do, squad? It's your boy Brock, and we have a huge game coming up Sunday night.
Whose house? Rams house. It's the Rams Squad. Everything Los Angeles Rams every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the City of Angels. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Here comes the Rampede. The Rams Squad Show starts now.
What it do, Ramley? Welcome back to the latest edition of the Locked On Rams Squad Show. It's the midweek squad show. You've got 2/3 of the Mod Squad, me and Big Brock in the building. Don't worry, D-Mac will certainly be in here shortly. We decided to change things up a little bit. Obviously, we do our midweek show, and normally it's recorded, and then we preview it on YouTube. We said, screw it. Why not? Let's go live. So if you're in the chat, if you're watching this live here on this Thursday afternoon, leave your comments. You know we react to them during our post-game shows, but let's react to the comments right now during our midweek shows, because why the heck not, right? Why the heck not? Before we jump into this one, quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about on today's show. Of course, we'll, talk a little bit more about that win over the Seahawks. Suddenly the NFL world, they're talking Rams Super Bowl. They're talking Rams favorites, best team in the NFC, best team on the planet. Do we agree? We'll talk about some of the injuries that are starting to pile up and if we're concerned about that. And, of course, we'll get into the Sunday night football showdown at SoFi. The Bucs, still a good team. They're banged up themselves. We'll get into all of that. Big Brock, how you feeling a couple days now removed from that big-time stressful win on Sunday against the Seahawks?
Man, feeling like 8-2, man. We called it from the beginning, man. I know we're a little bit biased because we do the squad show and we're Rams fans, but man, we've been saying it from the beginning, man. If we can keep Matthew Stafford healthy, we will be, in line to possibly going back to another Super Bowl. And it's looking like it right now. At this point, at this stage of the season, we're 8-2. We're at the top of the leaderboards when it comes to being at the top of our division. But we do have a strong team coming into SoFi Sunday night. This is a Bucs team that recently just lost 2 in a row. I can see them being very inspired to win a game in SoFi. Obviously, they were showing clips of Baker Mayfield on the Rams a couple of days ago, or I think earlier today, of him being in 2022. So it's gonna be a little emotional, a little emotion running high Sunday night, especially on Tampa's Bay sideline with Baker and actually. I don't want to say doing the impossible, but it's going to be a hard task going into SoFi with this team, revving up like they are. The Rams team is ready to go. I don't want this to be a trap game, what we call a trap game, right? Where you're winning your own point as far as getting the job done, executing. Then all of a sudden you feel like a team that may not have all their players, or a lot of guys are questionable. You kind of take it easy. You kind of relax a little bit, like, oh man, it's gonna be an easy one. But it's never easy in this league. As I say, it's any given Sunday. You just got to go out there every week and just focus one game at a time and just execute. But I love the way our Rams are playing right now, and I'm just excited to see what happened Sunday. Obviously, it's also I'm gonna be at the game, so it's a tribute game for Aaron Donald this week. So it's gonna be a lot of emotions and juices flowing this weekend.
Oh yeah, for sure, and we will certainly talk a little bit about that, because that's going to be epic, right? Obviously, I don't know if you saw the bobblehead, but it's hard. It is hard. Okay,
Yes.
So it's going to be real awesome to pay homage to the Rams GOAT for sure, but one of the GOATs in
Mm-hmm.
NFL history in general. And I just got to say, man, Brock is such a player because I'm like, how you feeling after a win? And he's already like, here's what we got next. We got to handle business. This ain't no trap game, right? He's already locked in, ready to go for the next game, right? Because that's just how players are. And hopefully that's how the Rams locker room is right now, because we do have a huge one coming up. But it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
A couple weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago, we're looking at the schedule. You know, the Rams at this point are like 4-2, 5-2,
Mm-hmm.
and we're thinking, hey, the huge games coming up are the Bucs on Sunday Night Football and then the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
fast forward a couple weeks, and last week, you know, kind of felt like not, you know, the closest thing we've had to a midweek Super Bowl in a while, right? It really really was like that, with the Seahawks coming in at 7-2, the Rams coming in at 7-2, you know, playing for first place in the NFC West. Obviously, the Rams, not the prettiest win, but a nice win. They handle business. And it feels like the NFL world agreed that that was a bit of a mid-season Super Bowl, because all of a sudden, you know, we've been saying it for weeks. We think the Rams are right there with the Eagles, barely lost to them. If they had a kicker, they win that game. They're right there with the Lions. They're right there with the Packers. But it was this win on Sunday that now has the NFL world saying the Rams are elite and maybe the most elite team in the NFL. I don't know if I know you're not a bettor or anything like that, but, you know, FanDuel, DraftKings, whatever it is, Rams right there. The latest thing I saw, plus 550, second place in the NFL, just behind the Eagles in terms of Super Bowl odds. Super Bowl champions, not make it, not flirt with it, win the darn chip. Number 2 right now behind the Eagles. You go on ESPN, you go on PFF, you go on the different power rankings. It's Eagles or Rams, 1 or 2, depending on where you go. And perfect timing, our boy D-Mac is in the building. You know, there was no one shouting out, there he is, D-Mac in the building. There was no one who was hammering home that drum of the Rams are going to be elite more than D-Mac coming into the season.
Absolutely.
We'll let him say it. What are your thoughts to suddenly the NFL world saying, hey, the Rams are the best team in football, or the second best team in football after the win on Sunday? Are they just now finally joining the right side of the party?
It kind of gets me a little worried a little bit. I'm rocking purple and gold like Brock's LSU Tigers. So we rock purple and gold, but I know you're probably at the Warriors facility or something like that. But hey, there it is. But look, I would say that it makes me just a little bit worried, because look, we talked about this early on the year. We're like, oh, no one's talking about the Rams. No one's talking about us just because they haven't beat an elite opponent. And when they faced teams that were viewed as elite, the Eagles and that they didn't pass that test, right? So now they're winning these games at a high clip. You got the best record. You got a record where you're feeling like, okay, we could get the bye. We could finish with a 1 seed. Everyone's jumping on that bandwagon. And we know that I was driving the bandwagon. Brock was sitting passenger side. Gavin was like in the trunk somewhere, kind of.
You're right.
Like the foot was dragging out, but like he was kind of on, kind of off, right? Now it's kind of like, hey, like how many spots do we have for all these people? And my only fear about this, fellas, is just like we're a little too early, I think, in the season for me. You got 7 games left to kind of have this level of hype, right? I almost want to be like, all right, like we always see there's those trendy teams at this part, and there's kind of a little bit of a fall off. But I still think too, like this is such a mature team. I think that these injuries, I mean, you losing Q Lake potentially until the playoffs, right? And Higbee and Havenstein, they have been fortunate injury-wise, but I still think that for as good as the team has been, they still have potentially their best football in front of them, and I think the Bucs is a really, really good test. And I know that Brock's going to be super lit with AD in the house. Did you guys see the bobblehead, the life-size bobblehead?
Yeah, we were just talking about it before you got in here, man. It is fire. It is so fire.
That's one of the best bobbles I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is so fire.
Sure.
So fire. That's one of those times where I wish I was still down in LA and could go to that game and get that, because that's one of those things. I don't think nobody's selling that. If they got to the game and they got it, if they're a true Rams fan, they're keeping that thing. And yeah, it's absolutely fire. But I mean, in terms of the whole hype around where we're at, it's that kind of that old saying of like, oh, you want to be playing your best football going into the playoffs and you don't want to peak too early. I kind of see what D-Mac's saying in terms of being nervous and everything. But at the same time, I think the outside media, they're late to the train and thinking the Rams are an elite football team, but now they're almost overestimating how well the Rams are actually playing right now. And I think we all know, like D-Mac said, we have another gear that we can get to. And that's why well, I agree. It's one of those things where you kind of want to be sliding under the radar. We all know that there's still another level this team can reach. And that's why I'm not too nervous in saying I do think we belong as one of the, hyped up teams to win the Super Bowl now, because we do have another tier, right? It's not like, some of these other teams where it's like, oh, they're playing their best football right now. Like, are the Patriots going to play any better than they're playing right now? No, I don't think so. They're a team that feels like they might be peaking early, right? The Broncos, I don't know, maybe Bo Nix can play a little bit better and not just wait till the fourth quarter to do something, but they don't really feel like they have another level they can get to. There's one other team other than the Rams, maybe two, that I think can take that next step and get even better. And you guys let me know what you think. I think we certainly can do it. That connection with Devontae maybe isn't still 100% yet with Matthew Stafford. Obviously, the 13 personnel, the 11 personnel, we'll get more dialed in on that. But there's two teams, in my opinion, that stand in the way, really one, but maybe two, that are also good and can get better. The first is the Eagles for obvious reasons, right? They're the defending champs. And it still feels like they have another level, right? They kind of cruise to these boring, disgusting. I mean, I'm tired of seeing, I don't know about you guys, the Eagles playing primetime is like the worst thing ever now, because it's just 13-10, it's 7-3, it's run, punt, tush, push. The Philly fans boo because they're dumb, in my opinion. And it sucks, but they win. And, oh, by the way, eventually A.J. Brown is going to have a 200-yard receiving game. Eventually Jalen Hurts is going to look like the quarterback that wants to run around and win another Super Bowl. I think they have another gear. The other team, Brock's other team that he doesn't talk about too much, the Lions. I still think the Lions, they're going to get healthier. I still think they have a chance to take that next step. But the Rams can too, and we're already 8-2. And that's why it's us and the Eagles right now. Big Brock, if you're in the locker room right now, and you missed it, D-Mac. He was such a former player. I'm like, how you feeling after the win? And he already went straight to, hey, the win was nice, but we got the Bucs on Sunday night. We got to lock in. No trap games. No nothing, right? He was locked in.
They turn the page so quick, man. They
so
turn
quick.
That page, man. That's what they do. That's why they are who they are, man.
Yeah. Apparently stats are for nerds, for D-Mac and I, according to Sean McVay. And apparently, looking back at wins is for nerds as well. The players are locked in. They're ready to go for next week. But that whole, don't peak too early thing that the media loves to talk about. Do NFL players talk about that? Like, hey, like we're playing really well right now. Let's keep it going. But hey, like we still get, got room to get better. Like, kind of what's your opinion there on the whole peaking early thing, knowing that there's still injuries to come and still tough moments to face the rest of the season?
I think that's definitely a media outlook is like, don't peak too early, because you guys have an outward view of looking at the game. When it's internally, when you're playing the game, it's literally next game. We're focused on the next game, and that's all we're focusing on. We can't look at, the games behind us, because we can't do anything about those. All we can do is look forward to the game that week, and we can't look past the game this week because we have a NFL opponent that we're going against. So, for the most part, it is a week-to-week basis, and it has to be like that, because also when you're leaving college and the most games you play maybe 13, 14 games, and then now you get in the league and you got 17 games plus the playoffs. You're like, oh my gosh, this season is so long. So you have to look at it from a week-to-week basis, so you don't get overwhelmed at the amount of games that you have. And also, man, it just keeps you locked in each and every week, because like I said earlier in the show, you can't look at any game and think like, oh man, we got this one, we can relax. Like, they're missing their starters and things like that. Like, we can relax. Like, I think the only game maybe we felt like that, and it was still a close game, was the Baltimore game. They had nobody on their team, and we still came out with a 17-3 win, versus the defeated Baltimore team. So for me, it's week by week basis. Focus on one thing at a time, and it makes it better. It makes the season go by a little bit faster, because you're looking at it, like I say, a week to week basis, and all of a sudden it's like week 16, week 17, and if you're good, you're getting excited because oh yeah, I got more football to play after this. So for me, for the players internally, guys in the organization, we don't see a peak. We try to be consistent. I think that's the biggest thing about teams is like you want to be consistent. So if you're playing well, let's consistently continue to play well. If you're playing bad, let's get better and continue to get better throughout the season. So I think that's the biggest part about it.
Yeah, facts. And hopefully they can keep it going. We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of the season ahead, but you would rather be, especially when your quarterback was, not walking in the offseason, you'd rather be 8-2 with still some room to improve than just about any other position. We're going to take our break. When we come back, I want D-Mac to tell me if he agrees that it's really only the Eagles and maybe one other team or two in the NFC that stands in our way, or is this more of an open race? There's still plenty of games to be had. So we'll take our break. We'll ask D-Mac that when we get back here on the Locked On Rams Squad Show. Now, today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I, look, we make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right, it can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, including California, baby, Texas, and Georgia. Look, I love using PrizePicks. On Sundays, it's, you got fantasy football, you've got your favorite team when our Rams are playing, but when you can just make a couple lineups right there at 9:59 in the morning, right before that 10 a.m. slate kicks off, now it's a game changer. There's all these other things you're looking out for. It makes Sundays so exciting. The new stacks feature, it's a game changer. You can now pick more on Steph's points, threes, and assists in the same lineup, for example. It's not just one stat per player now. So there's so many ways you can play. And plus, if one of your players leaves with an injury, the injury reboot saves your lineup from a loss. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Ram Squad Show, we're back. The whole Mob Squad back in the building. I know you guys didn't see my face on Sunday. Not that anybody was missing that, but I know people were missing D-Mac through the first 5 to 10 minutes of this show. So glad the whole squad is in here. You're a celebrity, man. Like we started, Rodrigo's like, where's D-Mac? Where's he at? Then we got other people stalking you. He's still on LA Sports Report. Look, Craig says he changed his hat fast, man. D-Mac.
That's because I tell everyone I know Michael Brockers, bro. That's because I tell everyone I know Michael Brockers. This is a recent phenomenon. It's like 2 months old, man. And Gavin Carlson is Angel superfan. Trey Taylor Ward. I'm surprised Brock isn't like hitting up the Texans TNF and just making this like a crazy NFL weekend, right? TNF to Sunday. I don't know.
Sure.
It's a pretty good matchup. But,
oh my gosh.
He's
though, right? I'll
tell you what Brock's doing though. He's flexing on us again, man. He's got the ice on the neck, man. He's reminding D-Mac and I that hey, we're the stats nerds, and he's former NFL player Mike Brock with the ice on his neck and everything. Although Reno Nate did correct me. He said McVay didn't say stats are for nerds. He said there's for losers. That's right, and I don't think that's any better. I think that's a lot worse. Actually, D-Mac and I.
That hurts more, man.
Even more.
But I mean, to answer your question, I'm curious what you guys have to say, because I look at the NFC. I mean, who is the big threat that we talked about, right? The Eagles. The Eagles are a team that the Rams almost beat on the road. They should have beat on the road. There's nothing about the Eagles, as you point out, Gavin, that looks attractive as far as just the numbers that they put up. I mean, they're 28th in passing. They're 25th in total yards. They're average 115 rushing yards per game. That's 17th. That's down to 179 last year. They're really good at red zone offense, and they don't turn the football over. But outside of that, there's nothing flashy about their game. A.J. Brown looks absolutely miserable on the sidelines and just not getting involved. I still think that they're a team that understands how to navigate a regular season, and then their defense plays lights out when it matters most. So I still think the Eagles are a threat. Like if you look at kind of the next gen stats, they give the Rams 42% chance to finish with the top seed, and the Eagles a 41% chance. So they think that they're pretty similar. But I'll tell you the team that I really think is the biggest threat outside of the Eagles, who I still think is number one, the team the Rams just played. I mean,
Ooh,
Can Darnold play any worse than he did?
right.
And they still almost won that game, right?
Right.
I mean, if you cut those interceptions from 4 to 2, you feel like you have a pretty decent chance because, man, I rewatched that game. That defense was very impressive. And the fact that they can line up in nickel, they can basically match what the Rams are doing offensively, and they don't have that cheat code of 13 personnel because it went from being good for 6.7 yards per play to under 3 yards per play. You had to pivot to 11 personnel. You don't really have a third wide receiver you can trust, you want to throw the ball to consistently. Devontae Adams dealing with that injury, the oblique, he's not at 100%. So I think the Seahawks are the team right outside the Eagles. They're the biggest threat. And then I think the Lions, to me, no Ben Johnson, no points, right? I mean, they're kind of dysfunctional. They took Morton off of play calling duties. I don't know. Like, call me crazy. I know that Brock is a forward teammate, but I just can't see the Rams losing to Jared Goff in another game again in the playoff. It happened before. I don't think it happens again. I just don't think. I can't see that universe, especially here that Matthew Stafford's on. So I still got the Seahawks, man. I mean, I was on the road, good team for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right too in that the Seahawks are already playing at elite level, right? Like us, like the Eagles, like a few others. Excuse me. They do have another level. I might have been a little critical of the Shaheed in terms of how much they gave up, but they still added a really talented receiver who they haven't really used yet, right? In the game last week against us, two receptions on 5 targets, 27 yards. Like, he's going to do more than that for them. And so while on other aspects, I think they're kind of a team that I don't really see them improving that much. Like, I don't really think Sam Darnold can play any better than he was playing the first 10 games of the year. And I think there's more of a scenario where Sam Darnold falls off a cliff or, struggles against elite defenses like ours. But you, on the flip side, could say, hey, they're playing really well and they're going to, implement Rashid Shaheed more. They're deep at every position. You're exactly right, D-Mac. What about you, Brock? You still think it's Rams and Eagles fighting, or you got the Seahawks, the Lions, or any other team in the mix too?
Obviously, the Eagles are up there. I would agree with Doug or my guy D-Mac when it comes to the Seahawks being like that next team up. It's a quarterback play for me that's just always sketchy. I mean, I don't want to put these guys in the same boat because I definitely think there's a tier. Because if I had, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, and Sam Darnold, obviously Matthew would be 1, Jared would be 2, and then 3 would be Sam Darnold. I just if Sam Darnold and Jared Goff start to get hit, you see like the rattle start to happen, and it's every time if they start getting pressured, they start getting hit, knocked to the ground. You start to see a little bit of unraveling of their game. One thing I know about that guy, Matthew Stafford, he's one tough SOB. He don't care. You can knock him on the ground as many times as you want to. He's still going to play at an elite level. And he's been playing this game for so long. So for me, I think that's what gives us an edge as far as our team. It's like we have elite quarterback play. And you can take that anywhere you go. And we have a great defense. We have a young, hungry defense. The Eagles, I feel like, are the only threat to us in the NFC. I'm going to be honest with you. The Seahawks and Detroit, obviously, as you stated, D-Mac, you don't really know what you're going to get, especially offensively. They have great players, but do they have the coaching to put the players in position to make plays? And I don't think that's solidified yet. So for right now, the only team that I would, in my opinion, be focusing on is the Eagles and doing what we need to do to finish a game versus them. We dominated a half. Let's dominate a whole game versus them, and then we'll see who we got in the Super Bowl.
I totally agree. I think as you pointed out, it's if you look. I mean, here's the thing: like you look at quarterback and coach combination, and Sirianni and Hurts, they won a Super Bowl. I think Jalen Hurts, there's a cool factor to him as far as not just like swag type of cool, because he definitely has in spades, Jordan Brand guy, but it's also the way he handles pressure. And that always is such a variable that changes. I mean, look at Sam Darnold not making good decisions under pressure, and Jalen Hurts finding a way to convert in the red zone, and they found ways to convert. I think the big kicker, could be can you get the Eagles at SoFi Stadium? And we're looking way too far ahead at this point, but can you set up a matchup against Philly at SoFi Stadium and you really challenge the Rams fan base to really show up and show out? And then Matthew Stafford knowing that, hey, is this a last dance? We don't know, but we know there's definitely more yesterday's than tomorrow's at this point of his career. So you got that motivation too. And I think, look, I mean, there's no doubt about it that this is such a weird year in the NFL where there hasn't been those juggernauts. It hasn't been, the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, right? Who was supposed to be that team in the NFC, right? Oh, the Packers, right? It was supposed to be the Packers trading for Micah Parsons, Jordan Love continuing to emerge, the Bucs, kind of that early season favorite, Baker Mayfield in the MVP talks. I think this could be one of those weird years where maybe a team emerges late that kind of catches some fire. I mean, like the Bears all of a sudden are winning games, even though they have to win late. The Packers, I still think, are interesting. The 49ers have been dealt with too many injuries, I think, to be a legit contender. But, I mean, you just kind of run down the list, Gavin, like you have, and, like, you don't really circle a team that you're, like, necessarily terrified of, right? Like, if let's say the Rams were in the AFC last year and we're like, oh crap, like, how are we going to try to talk ourselves into the Rams being the Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs? It'd be tough to do, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a gauntlet. It's like, all right, man, you just look like a straight up homer, bro. Like, but I think that you can legitimately say that this is since the Super Bowl year in 2021, where you had to win a wild card game, right? You had to beat the Cardinals that year. You had to go on a run. This could be the easiest and best. There's nothing easy in the NFL, but as far as favorable matchups and playing less games, getting home field advantage, this could be the best path to a Super Bowl that Sean McVay's ever had.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that the question is with the Eagles is, are they kind of doing what the Chiefs would do in years past? They kind of, they're kind of going through the motions. They lose a couple games. There'd be years where the Chiefs would like lose to the Raiders, like in the middle of the season. You'd be like, what's going on? They don't even look like they really care. And then Andy Reid would be keeping all the trick plays in his back pocket. They'd go beat the Bills in the playoffs like they always do and end up in the Super Bowl, right? Like, are the Eagles doing the same thing and where they're winning every game by 3 points? Like, they don't really look that impressive. Chris Collinsworth kept saying it on Sunday Night Football last week, I think, of, hey, Jalen Hurts hasn't started running yet. Let me tell you, here's a guy, that if he starts running, you're a different beast, right? Like, and it's kind of true, right? Like, if Jalen Hurts actually starts running, if they actually start connecting with AJ Brown 6-7 times instead of throwing him 3 Hail Marys and then, hitting their quota and throwing the ball to AJ Brown like they've been doing so far, like, there's a scenario where they take a step up. Where I agree with DMAC is, like, there's a scenario where they don't, and then guess what? The Rams are the best team in the NFC. We could still take another level. And yeah, I think maybe the Packers, we didn't mention them. They're another team that still feels like they have another step they could take, but I'm with you. I think this is the most open it's been. Jack in here defending the Rams, saying, hey, the Rams broke a SoFi attendance record on Sunday. I don't know if that's true. Is that true, DMAC? I don't really know.
Look, the Rams showed out, man. It was a good crowd. Look, the Rams, we know the Rams have fans. We know that it's just when you play those handful of teams that have massive national followings, right? The cringiest things I've ever, I'll tell you the cringiest thing I've seen. Like, it's like, I think a Charger fan posted this, was like, the Chargers have fans, the Rams have season ticket holders, meaning that they just give the season ticket and they sell their tickets to like Niners fans. Like, come on, man. I mean, it's not a Rams thing, it's an LA thing. And yes, we've talked about this, like, you didn't have the NFL for 20 years and they became 49ers fans and Raiders fans from the past and whatever it was, the Packers, the Cowboys. But the truth is, LA supports a winner, right? And if they're in the playoffs, they're going to be a winner. And I think, look, you'll see the boxes. LeBron will be there. Mookie will be there. Like, it'll be an event, right? Brock will be there, right? It'll be something to see in a spectacle. So I think that this is a good opportunity for this team to elevate for sure. But I think kind of go about the Eagles too. Is look, another thing to feel really good about for the Eagles is you'd mentioned Jalen Hurts, and I totally agree. I definitely think there's something to just pacing themselves throughout a season. There is a Super Bowl hangover is real, right? I think Philly is a tough town to play in where the expectations are so high, where it's not just that you're winning, it's how you're winning. And they're like, oh, this isn't the dominant team that we've seen, but they're one of the worst passing teams in the NFL. And if you're the Rams, if there's one thing that you would want your biggest challenger, your biggest threat to be bad at, it'd be passing, right? And that's when I look at Barkley in the running game, averaging less than 4 yards per carry. And you look at Puna Ford, and we saw the success that this team has had against the run all season long. Braden Fisk, I mean, Tyler Davis, lots of really good run stoppers. So Akella Witherspoon hopefully will be back. Emmanuel Forbes has emerged. Darius Williams is playing better ball. I mean, look, now the Roger McCreary trade, I think, means something more because of Quentin Lake going out. So I do think there's a world where the Rams can at least go toe-to-toe with the Eagles defensively, offensively, and then it's just on the Rams offense to just be at their best, not turn the football over, execute, get the Devontae Adams that we know he's supposed to be. Oh, did you guys see this? Feels like we're doing like an NFC Championship preview show for the Rams versus the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Did you guys see this though? That the Bucs, apparently they've got the plague that's broken out for the Bucs, and 6 more players missed practice today because of the flu.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're talking about that. That could be something.
Yeah,
I
mean, they're already banged up in terms of injuries, and now they got to deal with that. Like, again, we have our own injury, thing happening right now, but DMAC has said, rightfully so, you have to, the elephant is the room, and the Rams have been pretty healthy this season, and that's another reason why they are 8-2 and right there at the top of things. We're going to take our break. When we get back, we'll start talking about this Bucs game because it still is a massive game, Sunday Night Football, another opportunity to make a statement, right? It feels like the win last week was the statement that had most of the NFL on board that, the Rams are elite. Another win now with that expectation would just go that much further. We'll talk about that Bucs game, and we'll talk a little more NFC because like DMAC said, it's fun to talk about, if we might be in the NFC Championship game. We'll do all that after our break here on the Locked On Rams Squad Show. We'll be right back. Today's show on this Thursday also brought to you by FanDuel. Now, look, we love the NFL. We love the NFL. But there's another great sport that's back. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here live, Mob Squad, Ram Squad Show is back. Big Brock, D-Mac, and myself in the building, fresh off a nice win against Seattle. Looking forward to Sunday Night Football against the Bucs. We're hype. It's hard not to be excited about the Rams right now. One question real quick for Brock. We're talking Eagles. I know this isn't the Eagles Squad Show, I promise. And there's going to be some fans. Somehow, those Eagles fans, they're going to find a way to end up on this show, and they're going to be in the comments saying that they're rent-free and all this stuff. I got to ask, though, if you watch that game and the last couple of Eagles games, is that defense quietly up there with the top defenses in the league? Like they were solid earlier in the year, but it feels like right now they go out and get another pass rusher, Jalen Phillips, right? They're playing real well. The Eagles, that front seven, it's got to be the only one other than us and the Texans, that's that elite, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, they have guys. Our team is full of guys we developed, Their team is full of guys that they went and got, Not saying that, Jordan Davis and the guys that they've drafted aren't, guys, but they are literally stacked at each position, too deep at each position. So once you roll your 1A D-line in, then your 1B D-line comes in. So I think that's the biggest thing as far as what the Eagles have, to their advantage is that they have depth. I mean, we do too, but they have depth with guys on their team, so guys with names. They have a great secondary. They don't really make mistakes, so they play really clean football over there in Philly. And I think, obviously their fans don't like it because, they don't like winning. They like dominating. And truly, you know what I mean? It's something about Philly fans. They want to win by 21 every game. But when it comes to the Rams, I love our youth. I love how hungry we are. I feel like the team in itself they're playing for each other. It's always been a custom that Sean McVay has had is like the team eventually ends up gelling together and they love playing football together. And that's what I see a lot of when I watch football on Sundays and I'm watching the Rams. I'm seeing them really, truly enjoy playing with each other. You know, they're communicating before the play. They're letting each other know what's going on, things of that nature. So I think what we might have over the Eagles in that sense is like, I think our unity within our unit, you know, our defensive unit is very good. And obviously offensively, we're just going to heat up some more. You know, we aren't there yet. Once we heat this Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford connection up, we are going to be something to deal with moving on in the playoffs. So I like where we are right now. I love the fact that we're showing people a lot, you know, to prepare for. So you never know what's going to happen come playoff time.
For sure. D-Mac, I'm curious. We'll kind of pivot a little bit. We're going to talk about the Bucs game for sure, but looking at the Rams first, most concerning injury of the three for you, Quentin Lake, Havenstein, or Higbee? What's the most concerning? I've ranked the three.
Oh, it has to be. First of all, I totally agree with Brock about the differences between the Rams and the Eagles. Call me crazy, but when the Rams win, it's like players loving each other on social media and the victory celebrations, and it feels like every Rams win, they feel like they won the Super Bowl, right? They're that excited, they're that happy for each other. The Eagles are just like relieved. Yeah. Like, oh, great. Yeah, I don't have to check my DMs for some weird tweets from like crazy Eagle fan 123 or whatever, and like you don't have to hear the Philly media. But I definitely feel like, look, I've never played at that level or been on that side, but it does feel like that when teams are that close, like that can put you over the top. It's like, man, like we're too good to watch the season end the way it has, right? We want to win as a group. It's like I feel like those are the kind of stuff you can't quantify in a stat sheet, right? And like I think the Rams certainly do have that. So I think that's definitely a big factor. But as far as kind of the injuries, 100% is Quentin Lake, because Quentin Lake, he was emerging as really the voice of that defense. And they've been grooming him for that role for years now. And what makes Lake so unique is he's in the slot and he can do a lot of interesting things for Chris Shula, cleans up some stuff in coverage, can stop the run. And when you look at kind of their group, you got guys that are better on the boundaries, right? I mean, Kobe Durant, they kind of use him a lot in some slot positions last couple of years, but they kind of realized that he's best on the outside. Darius Williams on the outside. Emmanuel Forbes exclusively on the outside. When Akella Witherspoon comes back on the outside. So I think that the Rams have kind of developed these hybrid-y type of players that can mix and match in that role, and that's what Quentin Lake did at a very high level. I mean, this guy was headed towards free agency, and he was going to probably, who knows, maybe get an extension with the Rams and kind of be a part of the team. He still could be, but yeah, that's definitely a blow. It's not one where you need like Dick Vermeil to take the podium and say, we're going to rally over Josh Wallace and we're going to play good football. Right? It's not one of those losses, right? But in the grand scheme of things, like if you would, I think, have to write down like the top 5 players on the defensive side that you wouldn't want to lose, you could make the case that obviously, I think one, we all agree, probably Jared Verse, right? I think like it'd be tough. And then Kobe Turner's in that mix. I think Nate Landman, Braden Fisk in that mix, Poona Ford in that mix. And then Quentin Lake, I think, is kind of like right there in that tier, right? You don't want to mess with the D-line. Byron Young's in that mix too, right? Like the D-line, the front four is kind of the strength of this team. But yeah, I think Lake's going to be a big loss. But I think the good thing about it is that you have enough time for the last couple of quarters of the season with 7 games left to say to yourself, okay, we can see how this team looks like without Quentin Lake, the adjustments we need to make, the players we need to put in better positions. And I think that's kind of an advantage. If this happened like week 17 and you kind of got used to those roles, I think it'd be even worse. But yeah, it's definitely a blow for sure. But there's teams around the league that have dealt with a lot worse injuries. Just go look at the San Francisco 49ers, right? They didn't lose Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and those guys, right?
Yeah, for sure. It hurts, D-Mac, it hurts seeing a Bruin, especially, how much I love Beeson Q Lake, man. He's the man. So it hurts.
I didn't even know we had a player in the NFL.
Don't do that.
Is he the last?
Don't do that. Don't do that. Come on now. We got
somewhere as a backup, or
yeah, but he is. We got a couple.
Eric
I think.
Hendrick. No, we got Kenny Peterson on the Cowboys.
Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark.
Kenny Clark. Kenny Pearson was an Ohio State player back then, but Kenny Clark. We got Odigizua somewhere.
Colton Miller.
Josh Rosen's like a great quarterback somewhere, right?
No, Josh Rosen's like a real estate agent or something right
Okay.
now. I think they said he
Right.
goes to like UPenn or something. But
Yeah, no,
uh,
no, that does hurt though for sure. I mean, his
yeah,
dad Carnell Lake was a Pro Bowl, all
yeah,
pro level
yeah,
corner for the
yeah, for
NFL for
sure.
many years.
For sure. I think like the main thing, like leadership wise, like I think, that's where you really lose. You're going to miss him, right? I do think Nate Landman kind of steps into that role a little bit as being like the Mike and, the leader of the defense. But yeah, Q Lake on the back end was pretty darn reliable. And shout out to him because if I remember correctly, late round draft pick or undrafted, one of the two, turning into, got the captain badge on his jersey, an elite player for the Rams for many years. Yeah, he's going to miss out on a payday, unfortunately. But who knows? Maybe that opens up the chances of keeping him more so than if he balled out all season and then wanted a bunch of money. So that might be the only silver lining there. Let's kind of transition a little bit now, talking about the Bucs. I know Brock's got to leave here soon, so I want to get his prediction in as soon as we can. In my opinion, I don't know about you guys, I think the Rams really match up with the Bucs well. Kind of a small sample size in terms of the Bucs actually being healthy, but they do get Chris Godwin back this week. I saw that today. Ibuka obviously has been amazing, but no Mike Evans, no, Bucky Irving might be back this game as well. I'm hearing, but it kind of feels like regardless of the health thing, I think the Rams match up really well with the Bucs. I want to hear first from Brock if you agree. Before you get out of here, what your prediction is on how the Rams can potentially handle business against the Bucs on Sunday. And just for those who, want to keep track, I think we all got the picks right last week in terms of the Rams winning. I think I don't know. I'll have to look back because I had it being a close game. I think you guys might have had it being a bigger win than it was, and it was a close game. We'll see. Bucs or Rams favored by 7 going into Sunday Night Football. Brock, do you agree? Are the Rams going to get it done?
Obviously, I'm biased. I'm a Rams fan. Obviously, I believe they'll get it done. By how many points that's always the sketchy thing for me. When I expect them to like really keep the game close, they blow the teams out. When I expect them to blow the teams out, they keep it close. So I see the Rams getting it done. This Bucs team is a really good Bucs team. I'm gonna be honest with you. They tend to show up when needed. Obviously, they have lost their last 2 games, so I know they're really eager to get on that winning side of things. But I just feel like we might be a little bit too much for the Bucs. I see on there they lose to New England, they lose to Buffalo, and I see us up there with those teams or even better than those teams. I'm not comparing. I'm just saying, like, I feel like we can execute and get the job done. Our defense is solid. Our offense is consistent. So if I had to put a number to it, I'm gonna go 24-17 Rams, keeping it close. Still, I feel like they play close games with teams a lot. And then watch they go out here and put 40 on the Bucs. But yeah, 24-17 for me. Rams get it done.
I like it. I like the sound of that. Absolutely. We'll see. Someone in here earlier was saying Sunday night games scare them because it's just like you have to wait even longer to get to that game. You're nervous for so long, and weird things seem to happen on Sunday night. Right here. He said, I just hate Sunday night games. They stress me more. I agree. Brock, I know you got to go
Sunday night though. Don't you like? I think that this could be the potential trap game if it was a Sunday night game. I mean, obviously the Bucs are one of the better teams in the NFC, but with the guys out, with the injuries they're missing, I think I saw Rondé Barber kind of leaked a little bit accidentally on his radio show that Bucky Irving probably is not going to play, even though he was at practice, and Chris Godwin, he was at practice. Who knows if he's going to play? But it's tough when you're playing Baker Mayfield. The dude's a competitive SOB, and he finds a way to put up points, and that's why I'm with Brock. I'm kind of scared to like throw out a big score prediction too, just because, I mean, when you think you're going to score 30, they don't. When you don't, they will. Right? So I will say the weird thing about Sunday Night Football, and this is kind of wild, is Matthew Stafford in his career on Sunday Night Football is 2-10. He's 1-4 with the Rams and 1-6 with the Lions. The only win coming against the Bears in 2021. So that's kind of weird for sure. And then Baker Mayfield, he's 2-10 against the NFC West, so that makes you feel any better, but doesn't really.
Okay.
I don't know. There's something about Sunday Night Football where sometimes that weird stuff happens. Sometimes teams play up and you get good endings, and then sometimes you get the Eagles and you fall asleep. But like, I mean, I got the. Are we throwing out score predictions, Gavin, or you want to wait?
I think Brock, you got to head out or what?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
Brock's
I'm gonna head out. Yeah.
We'll still handle business, but everybody in the live, say goodbye to the man himself, Big Brock. He actually, if you're wondering what Brock's got to do, he's got to go get to LA so he can be there for Aaron Donald, baby. So peace out to Big Brock.
Look for Brock and get a bunch of autographs and pictures, man. He's gonna be all about SoFi Stadium.
D-Mac setting him up. D-Mac setting him up.
You know, I love the Ramley.
He loves the Ramley. Brock, you got the fit picked out for the game?
Oh.
I might have something in store.
Ooh,
it's a little rainy, a little rainy out there, so I got something in store. Bringing back some OG stuff for the game.
There you go. I'm ready. All right. Well, sounds good, Big Brock. We'll let you go.
I appreciate
Peace
y'all.
out, brother. All right, D-Mac. I don't know about you. I think I agree with Brock in that, and what you said in terms of Bucs are scary. But I'm going to change things up here. I think the Rams win big. I really do. I just think they match up so well. Couple reasons, right? The Bucs, they ran wild, right? 39 carries, 202 yards on the ground against the Bills. Everyone's like, are they going to give the Rams problems in the run game? Well, guess what? The Bills give up 5.5 yards a carry. Like the Bills get run through paws by everybody, right? So I don't think that really says much that you're able to run the ball against a team that just gives up a lot of runs, right? Like they ran for 5 a carry against a team that gives up 5.5 a carry. The Rams front seven, we know how good it is. I think we handle business against the run game. As for the pass, like you said, Chris Godwin, questionable. We'll see. Even if he comes back, he's old. He's been banged up. I don't think he's going to play that well. Igbukah, he's talented, kind of a JSN junior. We did decently well against JSN on Sunday. Offensively, or for the Bucs defensively, they can't stop anything through the air. Like they can't stop anything through the air. Josh Allen threw for 317. Yeah, he does that. But against a lot of people, they're giving up a lot through the air. I think we just match up well, right? Like you said, the one thing you want an opposing offense to not be good at against the Rams is passing. The Bucs passing game has been struggling lately. If there's one thing that you want the offense to rely on, or the defense not be good against the Rams, it's passing. Stafford's going to air it out. I can't even speak right now, but you know what I mean. I think we're going to cook. I'm really confident. If Tyrell Shavers, like how many people in this chat know who Tyrell Shavers is, right? Like if Tyrell Shavers can have 90 yards and a touchdown and make Gavin pick him up on fantasy, then what the heck are Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams going to do, right? I've got the Rams winning. I'll say give me something big. I'm talking 35-21 Rams on Sunday Night Football. What say you, D-Mac?
I think a 30-piece could be in store. I definitely am with you on that. There's a couple of reasons why I think it could. Because one, it's going to feel like a drop-off going from the Seahawks defense going to this defense. But the equalizer they do have is they have shown the ability to turn over the football this year. And they're third when it comes to interceptions, 10 overall as a team. But the reason I feel confident in the passing game, as you point out, is a very different defense as far as the looks you're going to get from Matthew Stafford. That Seahawks team, they don't blitz. I mean, relative to the teams that blitz a lot. I mean, it's towards the bottom of the league because they're able to get pressure from so many guys on the line because of what they're able to do with Lawrence and Leonard Williams and guys like that. This is a Bucs team that blitzes at an extremely high clip. There's only 2 teams that blitz more than the Bucs in the NFL this season. They blitz at a 31.1% rate, and Matthew Stafford's been great against the blitz all season long. So unless he makes mistakes and you're not getting a version of an A grade version of Matthew Stafford, I think that would be the way that you see the Bucs stay in this one. Is you don't get the best version of Matthew Stafford. They're able to manufacture some turnovers. He's riding a long no interception streak. I hate to jinx that. Find every piece of wood in your house and knock on it, right? But if he plays clean football, turnover-free football, I'm confident he can handle the blitz. And I'm looking for a breakout game for Devontae Adams, who hopefully he's just one more week removed from that oblique injury. Those things aren't easy to overcome. And yes, credit to the Seahawks, the way they defended him. They did a really nice job. But this should be a game where you're feeling like you can win the game through the air And this is another statement for this Rams offense. So, yeah, I'm with you. I definitely think, especially with Quentin Lake out on the other side, and you never know how the secondary is going to perform, and they're going to have to win the game through the air too, that the Rams have that advantage. I think score-wise, I was going to say like something like 33 I was going to say like 33-24, right? But that seems like a lot of points on SNF, you know what I mean? So I'm going to go 31. I'm going to go 31-20 Rams, which means that it's probably 20-17 Harrison Mevis, thicker kicker, walk-off field goal, right? I mean, can we see this guy get challenged, please?
I was going to say, I wouldn't be mad at that. We need to see if this guy even exists. Like, does he even exist?
No,
like,
facts, man.
Like, I don't know. Are one of us secretly the kicker? Who knows? But I like it. All three of us have us predicting a win here. I would, say, we're setting up for that meme where they show all the people pick the win and then the team loses and the other social media team posts it. But hey, despite us being the Keep It 100 podcast, we usually do all pick the Rams. The good thing is, hey, we're 8-2, so we usually also are always right. And
if you had picked it to win every game, you should have won every game. They should be undefeated, right? I mean, but I mean, at some point, right? There's got to be some game. But I mean, who knows? I mean, look, the Bucs, like Baker Mayfield. If you're going to kind of look at some of the biggest high variance wild card quarterbacks in the league, as far as if he's on, he just brings something to his team where he can win a football game for you. He certainly is that guy. And look, he's adored and loved by the Rams coaches and their players and their fans for resurrecting his career. I mean, Baker Mayfield said it himself, the Rams made me fall in love with football again. So there's that little subplot there. And I think it's important for this Rams team to just kind of, as Brock was talking about, is kind of throwing that consistency in all phases. And I think too, the way that they beat the Seahawks, knowing that you only beat a team by 2 points despite turning them over 4 times and knowing there was a lot to work on. I think that works in the Rams' favor in this one too. Right. But hey, don't kid yourself. The loss of Quentin Lake is definitely a factor. You definitely need some more about the pass rush too. The pass rush has been pretty quiet last couple of weeks. You want to get a big game from Jared Verse and Byron Young and those guys. And the other thing too, Chris Shula, is this his last year as a defensive coordinator for the Rams? Kind of a fun topic.
I mean, he's been hooping. He's been absolutely phenomenal as a defensive coordinator. I don't know. I think there's kind of a fear. Maybe it's kind of switching because of what, it's happening in Seattle. I think that's the best example. I feel like there's a fear of hiring a defensive coordinator as a head coach. I think that's the one thing. So that might be the best, hope in terms of keeping him here with us. But I don't know. We'll see. He's been doing a great job. All I know is we've got him for this run, and let's ride it out, and let's win a Super Bowl with this guy. Why not, right? Why not?
Yeah, I think the name, cachet, I mean, if you can bring him in, he can coordinate, be a CO type. You trust him to hire the right coordinator. I mean, Dan Campbell is a good example of, like, you can have a big personality and kind of call shots. I don't think Shula has that kind of personality, so might need a couple more years to kind of grow into that to have that success. But, hey, are you in on the Chesney, James Madison dude?
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it feels like you're kind of a little bit trying to just copy what Indiana did with the exact same pipeline of James Madison to Indiana for Kirk Cinetti. But let's be honest, we're pretty similar to Indiana at this point in terms of not much of a history in recent years of being successful. And look how quickly they turned things around. Would love to turn things around the same way. So we'll see. But all I know is we got to figure out where we're playing. We got to figure out if UCLA is playing at SoFi next year with the Rams. That's what we got to figure out.
I know it's going to be pretty wild to think of UCLA and the Rams both at SoFi Stadium.
Would be crazy.
Have you warmed up to this is like kind of a somewhat of a Rams subtopic there in some capacity. But I mean, I've had some people talk me into it. I heard there's stuff behind the scenes that hasn't come out yet. That's the reason why there's a couple different reasons why they left Pasadena, but nostalgia kind of will mess you up. Thinking of those times, the Rose Bowl, the good times, the real grass.
Yeah, I mean, I was a student there literally as of a year and a half ago, right? So it's kind of crazy to think that, I'll never be at the Rose Bowl again. Like it's iconic, right? At the same time,
you think they're never going to make the Rose Bowl? That's just come on.
I mean, especially now because you don't even guarantee to make it, right? It's not like Pac-12, Big Ten thing, it's like the odds of UCLA making the CFP and that CFP game they make being at the Rose Bowl, it's like 1 in a million. I'm sorry, I hate to admit it. So I do think it might be the end there, but maybe they play like one game a year at the Rose Bowl. No, they won't do that. If they leave the Rose Bowl never letting them back.
The UCLA USC game there, because that's when you could sell 90,000 tickets for.
I would love it, but I mean, let's be real. If we leave and the legal battle that's about to ensue, there's no way they would ever want us back on that soil ever again. There'd be bad blood, which kind of sucks. Like, it's such a part of the UCLA brand, the rose on all the graphics whenever a guy commits and all that, it would all be gone. And my biggest thing, DMAC, and then we'll wrap it up. I always just feel like UCLA doesn't have much of a tradition outside of the Rose Bowl. So without that, what the heck do we have as our claim to fame? It's just that we have beautiful jerseys, but the product on the field and the traditions and all that, we don't really got anything else. But
if you look it up, if you look at AP, if you look it up, however you slice it, if you look at the entire history, you could say they're a top 25 program of all time. Like, they're really dominant. 60. They have one natty, they have one more national championship than Oregon does, right? You were dominant in the 90s. You were putting top recruiting classes in that era. It's not they're a sleeping giant. They really are. It's not impossible for sure. Yeah. But hey, real quick though, you see the Rams? That would be awesome. Are you kidding me? The Rams are going to actually switch their uniforms for 2026, and the word on the street is that they're going to use the same template as they did for the midnight mode ones, but they're going to ditch the gradient, ditch the name tag, and they're going to kind of have like a modern version of their other ones. But I want to ask this: you're a young dude. If you're the Rams, would you just go all the way back to your classic uniform, the Eric Dickerson, the gold, the blue, and I think that you could change the helmets to match? For me, it's the Rams have a top jersey that should be in the class of the Raiders, the Packers, the Bears, the 49ers, the Cowboys, those teams that just never, ever, ever change, and they're not doing it. I think that the organization has absolutely botched it.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a trend right now to go back to the throwbacks, right? Like, just so many examples, right? I mean, the Eagles and the Kelly Greens, they're fire, right? As much when the Bucs pull out those creamsicle uniforms, like, it's the best thing ever, right? Like, so it's kind of a thing where maybe you're right. They do that for a game or two just to pay homage, and then they realize, hey, everyone likes these more, and they're iconic, and we can kind of reclaim this as the LA Rams uniform and make it the one going forward. Yeah, I would be down. I'm a big fan of the throwbacks just coming back in all sports. I think they look better. Maybe I'm surprising people. Yeah, exactly. Like, everyone likes the throwbacks right now, right? So why not? Why not? I mean, I'm not a big fan of the name tag. I'll be honest. I don't like that. So, and the broken horn, I know people debate about that, but I'd be down to see the switch. I absolutely would. But with all that being said, we're going to wrap this one up. Shout out to everybody in here. We did it live, which I thought was pretty fun. We'll see you back here Sunday night football, baby. Rams, Bucs. But for now, have a great rest of your Thursday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Sunday. Whose house? Rams house. It's the Locked On Rams Squad show, the Mob Squad, signing off. Take care, everybody.